Let go. We are back in the series. Ancient knowledge, true chronology. Anecdotally for the mango. Alright, man, we about to get it. Fair use. All up on you. Love to everybody, man. You know what I'm saying? I always forget to shout out my Twitter folk, man. I mean, we've been rocking on Twitter before we was on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Before we was even on Facebook, we was on Twitter dropping that drop, man. So, you know what I'm saying? We're starting to cycle back around, man. Get back really involved, especially with our artists, man. All the young, you know what I'm saying, performers and entertainers and artistes and, you know what I'm saying, all that we enjoy featuring on the site. We're going to come back to you so that we can have it all in one place, get all that fresh energy, keep that wave beautiful, keep it all in that 432 hertz, that healthy listening as we build the platform, build our app up, build our site up, build our radio platform, build the framework, man, you know what I'm saying, to connect to the community, build the refuge for the community. We're doing it all here, and all praise the Creator for giving us this vision to assemble, to connect, and love to all the family, man, that's just getting dropped. A lot of people just fall back, man, and just kind of get it off of here, and they'll go right to the link or whatever the case is, man. So this is how it just pops up. Whenever we drop something, it's seed drop, historic drop, getting to the root of it all, secret drop, October Scorpio. All right, so we got all this stuff dropping, man, on Twitter all the time, man. So go ahead and, you know what I mean, you know, what's it called? Subscribe, sign up, follow, whatever, you know, press that, whatever, you know, follow us on Twitter, whatever you want to call it. In this machine, follow this machine on Twitter. Nah, man, love to y'all. Love to the sister, Tiana Battle. Love to the brother Chris Battle. Beautiful family. You know what I'm saying? Getting that indigenous truth going. For sure. They sent me some wonderful resources, man, to share with y'all. So I'm just waiting to get my office reassembled, reset up so I can have a nice, cozy atmosphere to come to y'all face to face a lot more often. And yeah, I want to show y'all this book, man. Beautiful timeline book. Perfect timing as we are dropping the chronology that I remember to tell the family thank you so much for this wonderful gift that they sent to me. Two beautiful resources, and I mean, we're definitely going to tie these timelines in like we're doing today. But the sister wrote a poem, man. I called it Drop Poetry, man. I just want to share it with y'all, man. I think the sister wants us to share it, so we going to share it, man. Let's get it. Drop Nation is not just a classroom. It's a radio station. King Drop keeps the nation patiently waiting. It is a family of people who never seem to stop chasing that knowledge, that truth, as they are getting to the roots of it all, as they answer their spiritual call. Much love to Jay Stu and Camellia for showing us heart. Hi, Mark. Here's your shout out for doing your part. Teach me to be priestly. Gave us the cedars and the scriptures. Arthur Scott Jr. hit you with the vids and the pictures. saying thanks to Lex Will on that Utah drop. Peace to you and all you for making that 432 the one-stop shop. Peace to you all for making 432 the one-stop shop. Drop Nation. Yo, this is truly an amazing gift. Man, y'all just send that spiritual, you know, power. Send that power over to the Sister Ty Battle for this Thai-Israel battle. Wow. So, you know, just so grateful to share that with the family. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just a beautiful thing to get, you know, that energy, man. I mean, it truly is getting to the root, man. And love to all the family and all those that she didn't mention. Y'all know who you are because we all one. You know what I'm saying? This is an organism that we are functioning in, and you know what I'm saying, if you don't resist it, it's all for you. It's all for you. So love, man. Keep on getting on that drop, man. Francisco, man, I mean, surfing the wave. We're gonna get some more flat drops soon, coming back with that Worlds Beyond the Poles, man. Get all that Prester Johns, get some beautiful artistic videos, you know what I'm saying? I told y'all, man. We in Oregon. They're getting some new organs. Mesentery gland. Y'all check that out, man. Political drop, man. Oakland Ordinance, man. They watching us, man. Health drop. Will the EPA lie to Flint residents, man? You know this is on purpose. This is how they got you the first time. Poison, toxin. Let's go. Man, get that 432, man. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I like a few Coldplay songs. So what? So what? So what? Don't judge me. You don't know me. All right? Get your secret drop. We're gonna get into this today. Get back into some of this Gregorian calendar, man. So we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. Love to this brother, man. Nanya. L. All right? Dropping that drop, man. Love to all the family sending me these links. And everybody who's you know what I'm saying? Loving up on J Stu. Thank you so much for all y'all doing. For, keeping us going, man. We made another drop today. You know what I'm saying? Dropped a little bit. You know what I mean? We just keep it flowing. So every week I try to make a drop, you know what I'm saying? Straight up from us to them. For everything that we got, they have. You know what I'm saying? So love to the sister Wilma Bates, man. Just dropped a beautiful, $200 donation today. Yvonne, Holland, you know what I'm saying? Beautiful donation. So thank you all, you know what I'm saying? This says anonymous, so I'll keep it that way. But, love to all the family that, you know what I'm saying? That's doing this, man, that's putting this machine out, putting that energy, you know what I'm saying? That fluid, that oil into this machine that our creator, haya, hey, however you say it, you know what I mean? We're all trying to perfect the vibration and we're all coming together with it. So let's keep united. Let's keep uniting. So love to the family that support, man. Just felt so good to, kind of get this fluid thing going, man, where, you know what I'm saying, that we can connect this energy, man. So keep supporting. Thank you so much for coming to the site, going over there, man, and dropping it. Everyone dropping on their PayPal. Love to you. You know what I'm saying? Truly, truly love to you. All right, man. Let's get it, man. Ancient knowledge. True chronologies. I'm going to get it. I'm going to bounce off, man. We're going to have some fun, man. Let's have some fun, man. So this is part 3. Let's just go, man. Let's just go. Again, you got to surf this wave. Put your defenses down. Let's see what we can pick up. All right? We're hijack free here. So we're going to get the babies out the bathwater. We are, professional hijack dodgers. So I ain't got to tell you to dodge the hijack. Let's just watch it and, y'all leave your comments and tell me what y'all think based on how we are building, not just the Press of John series, but everything. Remember, we only stand, the circle we stand on has 4 points, man. We got our creator, our existence, our Hawa. That's the entire joint. But we always keep grounded, you know what I'm saying, in our Torah and our law and our commandments. Number 1, numero uno. We put no power before our power here. We stay hijack free. All right. And then we keep, understanding or gaining our comprehension of our 432 of the frequency. So we keep it in 432. We keep it, grounded by the law. All right. We keep the indigenous truth rocking so we know who we are as far as this, our tribal indigenous heritage here. And of course, we know we're not spinning on a ball. And those 4 aspects, those points, we can go anywhere and still have our anchors because we know we're founded, man. We have foundation, all right? So love to y'all for, making it valid, for validating, for giving us the electricity, the spark, man. Y'all give us the spark and we together are, this one, organism, this one growth that keeps on flowing, to be that with you. To be that with you, man, is the greatest experience of my entire life. Man. And I done some cool stuff. But doing this with you is the greatest experience of my entire life, So I truly appreciate every one of you out there, you know what I mean? And anybody that's new to this drop, chill out, relax, This is what we do here. So let's get some of this ancient knowledge. This is part 3. And let's surf the wave, man. Let's go.
I do get knuckleheads on here that watch one video and because they don't get it, then they've got all the answers. You don't just get all the answers. I bet I don't even know 1/100% of what's going on. I know that there's one major thing involved, and that's that thing that's called Saturn. this is one of the biggest lies that comes out of the Bible, because it's not a lie if you understand what it is, but it's a lie the way it was taught to you. You're told, for those of you that are churchgoers, and for you of those who aren't, you'll know what the word is. Sin, S-I-N. The word sin is supposed to mean that you're bad, and that because you're sinful, God can't have anything to do with you. Well, the word God refers to the planet Saturn. It does not refer to the Creator.
The word God refers to the planet Saturn. It does not refer to the Creator. Dog. God backwards is dog. He's going to, say soon, I don't even know his name, but lucky I got Jesus. I don't even need to know the Creator. I got Jesus. And then you're going to have to understand, you're in the mind of a hijack. But pay attention, because this hijack is going to drop on your ass. All right? For real. Let go.
The word sin is supposed to mean that you're bad, and that because you're sinful, God can't have anything to do with you. Well, the word God refers to the planet Saturn. It does not refer to the Creator, who stands above the one that men have called God, which is the planet Saturn. The word sin comes from it's from physics. It's used in quantum physics. What is quantum physics? Quantum physics has a very old, ancient name, and that name is Kabbalah.
I'm a theoretical physicist, and I like to say that I walk in the footsteps of giants like Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr. I'm not a philosopher. However, I am rather dazzled by the fact that many of the basic mysteries that we find in string theory and the theory of everything seem to be mirrored in the Zohar and in the Kabbalah. As a scholar, the most amazing thing of all is the degree to which modern astrophysics sounds like a Kabbalistic
Albert Einstein, when he was creating the atomic bomb or writing up the theory for it to work, used Kabbalah. Came up with E equals MC squared. You got what? Five symbols that equal volumes of information. These are lies that have been perpetuated. People do not understand that the Old Testament is written in code. And I'm not talking about this bullshit Da Vinci Code crap. I'm talking about actual code as in, high-level physics. Okay? The word sin, S-I-N, comes from the word sine, S-I-N-E. If you look at that, this is a sine wave. Yeah? It's a sine wave. The straight line that you're seeing, that's called linear time. That's going from your birth to your death, okay? The wavy line, that's a sine wave, okay? That's a sine wave. Bear with me. The word sine in physics is abbreviated as sin, okay? Now, there is another wave, it's going to be in blue, that runs along the same line as time, okay? And what that is it goes like this. This one's called a cosine wave, as in cosigner. That's right where that comes from. That's a cosine because it rides the back. It's so tight to the other wave, it's called a cosine wave. Now, you see, you have red and blue, and they both are interacting with time. So, one is time, one is space, okay? Those two together create time and space. Red and blue, which represents the planet Saturn.
Red and blue, red and blue, red and blue. All these systems in red and blue.
The time and space. So why is sin evil? Because sin is the abbreviation for sine, which represents time. And incidentally, the serpent in the garden.
And right quick, look how he just said that. Why is sin evil? Now, there's different meanings of these symbols, you know what I'm saying? So when you get the crosses, and even you have the cross bones, and that can have an evil interpretation. You can have a cross, an X this way, and have a whole other interpretation, like on the Andrew's crest, or, you know what I'm saying? Those type of things. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to get, you know, they're going to tell us their interpretation. We're extracting from it. All right. So why is sign evil? So you can look at that X being a s or a serpent or a s, evil serpent, the evil serpent. Y equals sign X. Y is equals is. Y is sign X. Y is sign serpent. Y is sign evil. Y equals sign X. Y is sign evil. Listen again. I mean, these are the things you're going to have, you know, just, you know what I mean, get on your boogie board, man, and just pick up on. Get on your boogie board, man. Let's go.
Another wave, it's going to be in blue, that runs along the same line as time. Okay? And what that is it goes like this. This one is called a cosine wave, as in cosigner. That's right where that comes from. That's a cosine because it rides to the back. It's so tight to the other wave, it's called a cosine wave. Now, you see, you have red and blue, and they both are interacting with time. So, one is time, one is space. Okay? Those two together create time and space. Red and blue, which represents the planet Saturn. The time and space. So why is sin evil? Because sin is the abbreviation for sign, which represents time. And incidentally, the serpent in the garden is right here. Okay? That's the serpent. Okay? The serpent is time. Now I'm going to show you something else. Bear with me for a second. This is where your caduceus comes from. That's time and space, running along a linear, that's a cosine and a sine wave, running along the vertical line, which is sign or sin. Here we have the wings. That's what your symbol is that you see, the caduceus. The single one is just a snake, which is it looks like an S. That's the serpent. Okay, so why do they say that we're sinful? They say that we're sinful, or that you're born of natural sin, because you're born into sign. You're born into sign. You're born into time. And when you're born into time, when you're born into sign, you're born into sin. Now, why does sin keeps you away from the Creator? Why? Because here, that's ruled by time, the circle, and space, the square. The Creator is timeless. There is no time where He exists. It's a loop. You go around and around and around. You have to arise above that and get to where there is no time. So when they say, oh, man's born of natural sin, you are born into the third dimension. And as the Bible says, the wages of sin is death. When you're born into the third dimension, you live in the third dimension, and as we all know, time, getting enough of it, destroys everything. Okay? That's why in Revelations, the beast is Saturn, because it regulates time. Given enough of it, it will kill you, your friends, your pets, destroy, rust, break down everything in the third dimensional level. And death is always associated with sadness and wailing and gnashing of teeth. Because, see, they took a story of physics and they twisted it and they came up with a bullshit story that some broad, running around in a birthday suit, giggling and ate an apple she wasn't supposed to. The tree of life that they're referring to in Genesis is the Kabbalistic tree of life. First of all, the Old Testament was never supposed to be in your possession.
All right, well, here's where the forked tongue comes into play when we say Dr. Hijack, because the tree of life, does it not exist if we're referring to the tree at the center of the earth? The tree that, when we showed that picture of their Gaelic, Gallic god, Zeus, and he had his, dagger cutting down the tree of life. Why don't they let you fly planes over the so-called North Pole, right? Because there's this magnetic mountain, this Meru, whatever they want to call it, whatever the case is going on. But we know our trees are very real. So the tree in the garden, yes, can have all types of layers of meaning. But this is when they, have a tendency to get away from Yeah, but here's the metaphysical stuff. Because the physical is what annihilates most people. Is that there's a physical reality to this, a physical seed, a physical manifestation of the metaphysical. The energy that you are extracting to get the metaphysical has a physical representation. And that is what they're calling the so-called Negro. Lego.
The Jews did not want that out because those stories are coded stories that are written in high physics. All the Old Testament is stories about reflections, light waves, atomic weights, dates, what else? Vibrations, mathematical codes that are what that thing up in the sky creates, that makes the reality that we live in. So for all intents and purposes,
that thing up in the sky, do you see how they refer to the Creator? Keep listening to it. I mean, the hijack always exposes himself. They try to drop the drop, but that thing up in the sky, I gotta play that back. I mean, because y'all might think I'm just bullshit.
Reflections, light waves, atomic weights, dates, what else? Vibrations, mathematical codes that are what that thing up in the sky creates.
That thing up in the sky. Wow. All right. So now we see.
That makes the reality that we live in. So for all intents and purposes, that thing is God. To this planet, not to me. I believe in the guy that's above him. Problem is, we don't know what his name is. So that's why I believe in Jesus. It's the only guy in between me.
Wow. All right. So, maybe he's referencing that thing being Saturn, but then he says the guy above, and since I can't, I'm saying, I don't know his name, so I just believe in Jesus. What?
Giggling and ate an apple she wasn't supposed to. The tree of life they're referring to in Genesis is the Kabbalistic tree of life. First of all, the Old Testament was never supposed to be in your possession. The Jews did not want that out because those stories are coded stories that are written in high physics. All the Old Testament is stories about reflections, light waves, atomic weights, dates, what else? Vibrations, mathematical codes that are what that thing up in the sky creates, that makes the reality that we live in. So for all intents and purposes, that thing is God.
Okay, I'm glad we played it back. I want to be equitable. I want to be fair. So he's referring to Saturn. All right, I get that. So if we surf that wave, then we look at Saturn saying that this Saturn energy is creating the coding, the fabric of the illusion. The Saturn energy is creating the illusion. All right, but now what do we get?
To this planet, not to me. I believe in the guy that's above him. Problem is, we don't know what his name is. So that's why I believe in Jesus.
Problem is, we don't know his name, so I just believe in Jesus? I mean, it's always right around the corner. You know what I mean? It's always right around the corner. That train is never late.
It's the only guy in between me and the Creator. Okay?
That's the only guy between him and the Creator. I mean, y'all niggas hearing this right?
God. To this planet, not to me. I believe in the guy that's above him. Problem is, we don't know what his name is. So that's why I believe in Jesus. It's the only guy in between me and the Creator. Okay?
It's the only guy in between him and the Creator. Who said there has to be anything in between you and the Creator? But that's what he's taught, that something has to come in between him and the Creator. We call that a hijack. We call that hijack 101. That anything comes between you and your maker. That anything comes between the Father and the seed. The Creator did not create a dom to have a hijack in between it. The energy, the frequency. When the Creator breathed into the nostrils and gave a dom breath, he gave the sinu, he gave the ruach directly. It's a direct ruach. It's a direct energy, Nothing comes between you and your creator. Rule number 1, put no power between me and you. No power comes between or before me when it comes to you. You are my energy, I am yours. There is nothing in between. That is a hijack, and that's the definition of a hijack. Zeus.
Let's watch the graph here. You see how it goes round and round? You see the green? Okay, you see that's the serpent that's in the Garden of Eden. Okay, you see it? You see how that's the sine wave, see that? Okay, you see how that works? Okay, now we're going to move on. I want you to look at the equation, and this is going to explain to you why I know that this is bullshit out of the Bible, what they're talking about. The Bible is not bullshit, but the way that they crafted the story and made you think of something else is. And on top of that, when you're trying to explain physics to a guy, that doesn't understand physics, you have to use other means, and that's why they use the story of the Garden of Eden. So let's look at the way it's written. Okay, there's 3 axis points there, all right, which is what creates the cube. All right, but let's look at it. This is interesting. Why am I going to go to hell when I die? Look what's in parentheses. Cause I sin. You see, they just crafted a story from physics, and they did that because back in the old days, like I said, in order to get the message across to somebody, you put it in a story form. Okay? This is what this is all about. There's no doubt in my mind. Okay, here we have a woman with an hourglass. Yeah? Okay? She's got her arm resting on a skull, which represents death. The thing that's above her head is called Oribus. It's a snake biting its tail. Okay? That represents Saturn. Okay? All halos that you see represent Saturn. All circles, the earrings that you wear, women, those earrings are a representation of time, and it comes out of Babylonia. It represents Saturn. Same thing with your...
All right. Again, we dodged the hijack. Are you really saying that the indigenous truth of a circle is Saturn? Or that is your hijack truth? That Saturn has hijacked that symbology? But does that mean that Saturn invented the damn circle? Come on, man. Come on, man. That's why we got to dodge the hijack. Because then you're like, oh, man, I can't. Anything that's circular is Saturn. Oh, no, Saturn Day. The Sabbath's on Saturn Day. It must be Saturn. No, they come and they hijack this shit and they make it theirs. They take it over, but what came first? The vibration or the symbol? So dodge the hijack.
Their wedding ring. This is obviously a picture from a society called the Rosicrucians, which is, I guess they're kind of like Masons. That's why she's holding a rose. But the hourglass and the Oribus above her head. So this is basically telling you that Eve, okay, the story of Adam and Eve, it was time. That was time. It wasn't a serpent as in the snake. It was a serpent as far as time. A sine wave. Okay? All right. You see it go around and around? You see the red colors? Red, yellow, blue, green? That's a time cube. But if we look at it, look how it's split into 4 sections. The circle is, right? Okay. Let's see where we've seen that before. There you go. There it is. You see it's on top of a church. It represents time and space. It has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. It has nothing to do with saving your soul. It has everything to do with a business. The 503, it's a government code. Churches don't pay taxes because it's nothing more than a government installation. And pretty much that's all that I really wanted to show you guys today.
Time and space.
I guess there's a plan for all of us. I had to die. Twice. Just to figure that out. Like the book says, it works his work in mysterious ways. Some people like it. Some people don't.
Okay. Now, hold up. This dude's actually want to drop some drop. You know what I'm saying? I mean, definitely still got to dodge the hijack, but he's going to come right at you with, some pretty thorough drop, man. So, because he's going to get a little deep with the drop, I've taken upon myself to get a little bit deeper with some underwater scenes from the documentary Ocean Odyssey. Yo, this is pretty dope. I didn't want you necessarily staring at his hand for 5 minutes or so, however long he's going to go into it. But, it's going to be pretty dope. I want you to listen to every word. But, I want us to be able to surf the wave while we do it. So let's go. Let's get deeper, underwater deeper, all up on your face.
Why do the people think they know things and talk about how others don't know anything? Why is it so easy to get people to call other people sheep? Is that not just the new underground pop thing to say? You have homophobia. This could be sheepophobia. Everybody calls everybody else a sheep. They talk about how they're awake. People believe that if they watch a 6-hour video by David Icke, or watch Endgame by Alex Jones, or study the Illuminati online, they believe that after doing so, that has anything, in any way, to do with being awake. They believe it. I'm not kidding. They can't get enough. Addicted to posting their opinion in a forum. Chasing that white rabbit everywhere it goes. And they call themselves awake because the system wants you to call yourself awake.
Conscious.
It loves that. Cockiness, arrogance, and hating other people. And as you're sucked into this, it is consuming you and you don't know it. You don't even realize it. You just prefer to be able to call people sheep. Perhaps subconsciously you resent that you were called a sheep. You want to be able to say it too. The naivety with that is that you don't know anything that they know. And they know you don't know it. You're not hurting their feelings. You're making them laugh at you. Because you're eating up mostly propaganda that they have distributed. Calling yourself awake and pointing your finger at them, and you are hardly enabled to deal with them or even your own self. John, tell me why. John, give me. John, tell me another answer, please. And can you answer this question for me? And what's your opinion on that? You owe me a response. I owe you a response. How much am I getting paid to do this? Oh, that's right. Nothing. I couldn't even count the number of people that have declared being awake to me. Couldn't do it. People are very easily controlled. All they have to do is create a new subcategory of personalities. Right now you have the jocks, you have the rednecks, you have the goth, you have the preppies, you have the business people and the whatever. Now they have the awake people. The reason nobody knows anything can only be explained to you by a metaphor, of course. In this realm, you can only use metaphor. Think of the difference between a broadband connection and a 56K connection. Now, there are people that know what is occurring in this reality. Many of them joined secret societies. So it's not that they have knowledge, it's just that they have acquired information. They went in reverse.
Listen up.
You see, true knowledge is true knowledge. Those with understanding understand what I just said. Those without don't. It's pre-symbol. A symbol is no different than any expression, a song, a picture, a sound, a look, a touch. A symbol should be the result of knowledge. The understanding, the awareness, and then you have the symbol surface. Having somebody learn symbols and then distributing a very strategically limited amount of meaning to that person does not give them knowledge. They perceive that they're getting knowledge. For example, I could say the word gum to some bubblegum popping dizzy-minded cheerleader, and the only meaning that she may come up with when she hears that word is chewing gum. I could say the same word gum to somebody else and they may think chewing gum, but they could also think a gum tree, or the gums around your teeth. Could say it to another person, they'll think chewing gum, a gum tree, gums around your teeth, but maybe they're thinking even deeper. Maybe they have a deeper understanding. Metaphorical comparison to other things. Gummy substances used in construction. Maybe molecular assessment. I only used one word, a phonetic symbol, written if you're looking at it. The meaning transferred by using that symbol is directly dependent upon who is receiving the information. If it's the cheerleader, she's only going to get a very limited amount of understanding, just enough to communicate. The line by Gene Hackman in the first Superman, some people can extract the secrets of the universe just by looking at the ingredients on a chewing gum wrapper, is absolutely correct. What that means is you can get a lot of information just by being aware. The creases in the paper, the spacing between the letters themselves, the space around the letters, all the nuances. Now, unfortunately, I have to say that this is a metaphor, okay? A metaphor. That does not mean that you should go and try to learn as many meanings as you can for each word that you know. That would have nothing to do with anything. That was just a metaphor that I used. If you think of a symbol, and you look at maybe the shape of the number 6, you can be told what that means. But perhaps if you're bathing in knowledge and awareness in life, suddenly you have an understanding, and then a symbol like 6 comes up. Maybe you think of getting caught in a tumor and you come in but you can't get out, and you're caught in a vortex, a circular, cyclic existence. Wow. Getting in, not getting out. Something like that, you know. Wow. What they do to you early is they show you all the symbols and tell you what they mean. And they don't tell you completely what they mean, of course. They tell you what they want you to think they mean. Why? Because what is the true purpose of being? If you're not extracting meaning from your path, from your experience, deriving meaning from it, in creating expression, the expression would always be the symbolic. A picture, a touch, a kiss, anything, an image, right? If you're only copying what they've told you things mean, and replicating what they've told you to use them for, and how to use them, how to speak, how to think, what means what you're supposed to do, what the meaning of your life is. If you allow yourself to be told what the meaning of your life is by something in your objective reality, somebody else, what is your purpose other than to be a slave? Forget about laws and politics, that's all bull. That's only a result. If you're not creating, and the only way you're going to create is by extracting meaning from within. If you can't do that, what is the point of you being around other than to be a slave? Acquiring detail. This means this. I learned what this symbol means. This pagan symbol means this.
Cross,
what
circle.
What do you mean you learned? Did you look it up? Were you told? Or did you read what it means? Or did you sit there by a lake and think about life as a whole and what's happening, and the symbol came up and you're like, oh my gosh. See, the oh my gosh is when you extract meaning. It doesn't have to be a traumatic thing like, oh my gosh. It can be, oh my God. That is the sign of a creative. Somebody that's always in their mind like, I get it. Oh my gosh. And you want to tell the whole world. Because you've just created, you've extracted meaning from within. Those that even if they have opened up, all right, and they were seeking information, because information is not knowledge. So enlightenment would be in the category of information. Why? Because as it's sold, as it ends up being, all you're doing is changing your perception of reality, just seeing other templates of symbolic expression. There are no answers there if you're depending upon anything you experience to give you those answers. So in truth, if you have the meaning inside and you come up with symbols and you see them in your objective reality, maybe somebody else came up with it too, you have an understanding, an immediate understanding. Sometimes that can be faked or replicated. Somebody's been indoctrinated into a system where they had to learn specific meanings to symbols. And so one who is in the know, one who has knowledge may run into somebody like that. And the person may have learned enough so that you have an understanding. But the person that learned it will still look at you, if you came from within to know, in a way that they're curious. How do you know? Because you seem to have a different, a fuller understanding of it.
Don't they look at you that way?
A non-polarized understanding of it.
Don't they see you like that?
They learn a few specific ways to talk about it and what it means, but you can talk about it endlessly with different metaphors.
Drop nation.
What's the difference? Well, what's the difference between reading a book and memorizing somebody else's conclusions and extracting meaning and coming to your own? It's like the difference between a muffin top and a muffin. They've got you all eating up muffin tops, but you don't have the knowledge underneath.
Underneath
Is
the
that a
muffin
permanent
top.
thing? Absolutely not. The reason you don't know anything is because many people that do have knowledge, even if they wanted to tell you, it's like they are on a broadband connection and you're on 56K. There is so much information. And unfortunately, as it is right now, the general population has no idea. They look at a symbol. Maybe they're taught a symbol. Either they really don't have any understanding of it, or it's a very limited understanding. If you have knowledge inside of you, you could sit there and talk about that one symbol all day. There's more than one meaning attached to symbols.
Bang.
Like I told you, a deer in the woods can mean more than one thing by stomping their hoof. If you seek the symbol, the muffin top, you will never have the whole muffin. And this is what people do when they try to seek videos and books and all. They're looking for muffin tops. They're looking for the end result. Therefore, you are dependent upon the meaning that is given to you. So somebody in the know, if they're talking to somebody that isn't in the know, can be very difficult. Why? Well, a very naive thing to say, or if somebody's trying to manipulate you, control your mind, they'll say this: the truth is an easy thing to say. And anybody who speaks for a long time to you, they're trying to manipulate you. Now, that's a very naive thing to say. Yes, somebody who depends upon a lot of words, really trying to control what you're thinking, could very well be trying to manipulate you. But if you depend upon length of speech, and that's where your perception lies, you wouldn't be able to tell anyway. If someone's trying to manipulate you, you should pick up on that within seconds, regardless of what they're saying. The truth is something easy to say. If one person in the know is speaking to another person in the know, in other words, you've both reached the same conclusions and you know it. You know when other people know. You just do. That's why they don't say anything other than that. You know when other people know. And you say, well, that's ambiguous. And that's ambiguous to you. But that is a symbol. To say that sentence, you know when other people know, that is a symbol. And those who have come to the conclusion on their own understand the full meaning of that. Those who may have heard that from some philosopher, and they were told that that philosopher was brilliant, so they decided to dwell upon things the philosopher said. If a philosopher says to you, you just know when other people know, well, you trust that philosopher because everybody has given them a 5-star rating. So you think, well, that must mean something, so I'm going to sit around and think about it. You can't sit around and think about that. That is a result of so many experiences. So, if I say you just know when other people know, you don't have to sit around and assess and calculate in your mind and think of behavioral patterns, or they said this and they said that. I'm going to put 2 and 2 together and formulate an assessment of them and what their intentions are. If you are doing that, that is robotic. It's nothing against you. If I were against you, I wouldn't be trying to help. It's the conclusion that matters. If you reach it on your own, because a conclusion is a symbol. It is a symbolic representation. The quote, the conclusion, that has so much attached to it. All of your experiences that tie into the conclusion. How do you extract meaning? Well, perhaps you have an experience. It could be a social experience, it could be anything. And that experience is finished, and that means nothing to you. Then you have another experience, and you see that it's different, but there's something similar to that other experience. You're kind of like, And then you have a third experience in your life, and it's really similar now, all 3 of them. Then you have a fourth experience that solidifies the similarity and prompts a question. It is the fourth experience that prompted you to ask the question, but it required the other 3 preceding it. The fourth experience, if it were isolated in and of itself, would never have prompted it. You needed all 4 experiences. So now you have the question. And maybe you have a whole other series of experiences that are happening so that you can extract meaning to address the question. And maybe after all of that, you come to a conclusion. And now that conclusion propels you in your advancement of understanding and extracting meaning in your life. And you start a whole other series of experiences. And that's just one facet of your life. And maybe simultaneously you have 30 other paths going like that, like I just explained. And maybe all 30 of them come to one peak of a conclusion. And you needed all 30 paths that had many, many experiences within each path, leading up to minute conclusions that come together that lead you to a new understanding. That takes time, it takes attentiveness, and the desire to have meaning, to have purpose. And now that one new understanding could be one of thousands that eventually tie in. And you don't even know it, right? Until you reach the oh my gosh. And all of these things come from within. Your ability to make use of pattern recognition, to see how things are always and never the same. What do they have in common? Did you get out there and experience people of different cultures? Were you too busy trying to project your culture onto them and see what they would say? Or were you trying to figure out what you had in common? I did that my whole life. In the moment of doing it, I didn't really necessarily know why I was motivated to do it. My spirit did, but my conscious mind didn't. Your spirit will lay breadcrumbs for you throughout your entire life or path. So if you come to an understanding, and then several understandings, and you know how much is involved with it, you can tell other people the details of your path, but that isn't their path. And if they try to memorize the details of your path, they're pulled off of their path. This is why I have been really careful not to give too much information about my path. People always ask me, tell me how this all began. And the details of my path are irrelevant. The understanding is the important thing. the conclusions I reach. And I can share conclusions with you to motivate you. But I can't have you memorize my conclusion. So I have to have a delicate balance of rhetoric with the information. And the information is not volumes of information. It's enough to make my point clear. It's enough to show you that I've learned. But I don't want you to memorize the details of my life. One who really cares for you will be attentive to that. And the idea of indoctrinating somebody with an oath is absolute evil. Why? Because they're declaring they do not want you to be a creative being and extract your own meaning. You will go through steps in which they will spoon feed you meaning. And because it's more meaning than you had before, more knowledge, you're really impressed by it. You think you're actually getting something. You think that you're being empowered. When they know that by keeping you from being able to extract meaning on your own, they've got complete control over you. They have pulled you off of your path. But if they did that successfully, you would never even have thought of that, now would you? Because you won't extract your own meaning, you see. Nevertheless, somebody with a lot of knowledge, if they're on a broadband connection and they're speaking to somebody in a 56K connection, it's anything but easy to tell the truth. Like I said before, one in the know can say the truth very easily to another in the know. If one in the know is speaking to an individual that is not in the know, saying the truth is anything but easy. Why? Because of what you know of the enormous gaps that they have. That you cannot just say the truth because they'll understand the words with the limited understanding they have in their concept building by society. But they would need to go through so much. And you know that they don't believe that. Telling them that makes no sense to them. They say, the truth is simple, you should be able to give me a simple answer. And then what happens is the people that have knowledge get very frustrated. The very moment you interrupt them or cut off what they're saying to you when they have to extend great patience to try to tell you the truth, and you cut them off and want to give them your opinion, or you tell them that you agree with them or disagree. To somebody in the know, when they're speaking to somebody that is not in the know, when the person that is not in the know says that they agree or disagree, both of those things are offensive. Because they know you should just have your mouth shut and take in what they're saying, and a lot of what they're saying will be rhetoric.
Anybody feel this way sometimes?
But I talk to people like this all the time. They completely ignore the rhetoric. I'll use rhetoric. That if they had wisdom, they would understand at least, okay, there's something with this. And they blow it off. They go, yeah, but anyway, and then I blow them off. And they have no idea why I blew them off. Or people will just bombard me with questions. Questions that are what you call loaded. Anybody in the know would say that's a loaded question. Because you lack so much just in the fact that you're asking those questions shows how much you don't know. And you ask them in a very naive way. It's not your fault, but you expect a simple answer. People will go up to somebody with knowledge that has required an entire lifetime of attentive awareness to their experiences, detailed and disciplined effort to extract meaning from your life, and they ask you a simple question and expect somehow that you are going to be able to transfer a lifetime of understanding in 2 or 3 paragraphs. They truly do. They do expect that, otherwise they wouldn't ask the question. So you have this huge gap between those who are in the know and those who are not in the know. Those who are not in the know do not know they're not in the know because of how they have been taught to think. They have been incorrectly instructed in their thinking process itself. They have been taught to look outside of themselves for answers. They have been misinformed about what answers are because they've spent their whole life having the meaning spoon-fed to them. They think that's how it works, so you ask a question and somebody can spoon-feed you the answer. And because you lack any meaning or an understanding, you don't understand why that answer is wrong, limited, or even misleading you. You can't. Based upon that, based upon how you've been instructed to think. So a lot of people that have knowledge, when they interact with the average person, they get very, very frustrated. Very. They'll just look at you. All they can do is look at you because they can't say anything to you. You would not be able to extract meaning from what they say. They said gum, all you would do is hear chewing gum. And they're thinking 500 different meanings to gum, all leading up to a point of conclusion. If you lack that, it's a waste of time to tell you anything. This is why, when you hear someone tell you that you cannot be told the truth, this is why. So they'll look at you and they'll have that look. And those in the know understand that look. It's a look that says, you know so little. You know absolutely nothing and don't know it. To tell you what I know, I would need 500 mouths and have to be able to speak 500 different sentences simultaneously, all at the same time, to express what I know, and you would have to be able to interpret 500 simultaneous sentences flowing at you at once. That's what that look says. And the look also says you don't even know that. And if I told you that, you would call me arrogant because you've been trained to call people arrogant. You don't even know what that means. So they'll just sit there and shake their head at you. They shake their head from side to side because they're paralyzed. It's the questions you ask, the way that you ask the questions, and what you do if they actually try to answer them. How long does it take before you cut them off, roll your eyes, or get distracted by something that occurs in the room, like a cat being distracted by bright and shiny objects? And if they're trying to tell you something, and maybe your cell phone will ring and you'll tell the person trying to give you truth to hang on, Shelley has to talk about her boyfriend. Okay, hey, you're not going to get the truth. You're nowhere near prepared to even comprehend anything that is true. And then you say, come on, just tell me. You can't be told. Well, that doesn't make sense. All you have to do is tell me. You can't be told. Not in your current state. You need a lot of work. And you don't understand why you need a lot of work. That's what it comes down to. Now, nothing is 100%. Am I saying that every Freemason has been spoon-fed? No, there's a lot of intuitive people that probably joined that. But they were naive enough to be sucked in. But some of these people may want to tell the world things. Maybe they thought, you know, this isn't fair. I gotta tell them what's going on. And they tried. Maybe they tried with a few people, but they got the rolling of the eyes. Or the person that they knew nothing, tried to debate them. They're so far out of the know that they can't even recognize truth when it's told to them. Do you know that the majority of the people that look up information on the Illuminati point their fingers at people in the Illuminati? If you actually sat down in a room with these people and were allowed to ask them questions, and they had to be honest with you, if they told you the truth, you either wouldn't understand or you would roll your eyes, you would laugh at them. I know enough to know that. A problem with somebody in an organization like that is not only are they separated from you, they're separated from you because they cannot relate to you. Because what you think is not what they think is. That's first and foremost, and that's by design, by that which sucked them into it. They're also controlled by an oath with fear. And it's not just fear of death. They'll use threats of the unknown because these people are shown different templates of reality. And they say, we control that too. So if you do this, it's not over when you die. We'll get you here, here, and here. They don't know any difference. They can't prove that that isn't happening, that that won't happen. That's the fear of the unknown. When are you subjected to the fear of the unknown? When you look outside of yourself for meaning. They are answering to a consciousness that overwhelms them. It can speak through anyone. They know it. If they want to ask it a question, they can look in a cloud. So that can be overwhelming for them, and I understand that. My intent is not to point my finger at anybody or anything on any scale. People in these societies are sucked in, then they're blackmailed. Because even though they believe they have all of this knowledge, some of it is filtered in their mind by the consciousness that controls their minds. So they don't think about certain things. Controlling of their mind to make them deviate in a way that society would want to pick up stones and throw them at them. Because society is corrupt too, that's why they're so judgmental. These people are scared of that type of persecution. I understand that. I'm not going to point my finger at them for being scared of it. Rather, I would like to go through it in some ways myself and show them that it's worth it. And show them their own value. I want to show everybody value. I'm not polarized here. Because that's what's in my heart. If I feel like a healer, how could I look at somebody with a disease and just focus on their behavior? And be too stupid to recognize that their behavior is a result of a condition. Now, if I have true wisdom, wouldn't I address the condition? I would only focus on somebody's conduct throughout their life if I had a very small mind and had no capabilities, no abilities, no talent, no gift to give, no ability to create. My desire is to heal both myself and everything I see, and not carry the whole world on my shoulders when I do it, but rather be moment to moment. Since everybody else is ignoring the problem, the majority, and I say, wait a minute, that person doesn't have to be that way. They don't have to be corrupt, and I know it because I've watched my own corruption get healed. So if it can happen for me, I know it can happen for somebody else. I would be what you call a fool. The one that comes in with the hat and the bells. I would be a fool to blind myself to the whole picture and not take everything into account. That includes my own behavior, my own path. Because that's where I'm going to get any knowledge from anyway.
Bang. I told you we had to get into the abyss to know the depth. Indies. Peru. Let go. Hijack 101. You know what they say. Remember who you are. Dropping real knowledge one step at a time. Drop Nation. Come out to play. Yo, man. I love this series, man. This Ancient Knowledge series can continue forever because it's so much fun, man, to be in that frequency and get the drop, man. Love to Jose Yukis, all right, for letting us go deep. Dig on deep. Let's keep surfing the wave. Now, this is a little cheesy because it's going to have like the little Amazon thing keep popping up. Pay attention to the 6 minutes. Pay attention to the questions in this 6 minutes. Let's go.
Is it possible that ancient Rome, Greece, and Egypt were invented during the Renaissance?
Is it possible that ancient Greece and Rome was invented during the Renaissance, the 1400s? Ancient Greece and Rome was invented during the Renaissance? Keep going.
Can it be that Jesus Christ was born in 1053 AD?
What?
And crucified in 1086 AD?
What? Could Jesus Christ have been born 1050? See, because when you stop doing the BCs and the ADs and you get rid of the hijack, then whatever the foundational legend that they got to invent the hijack must have been born around 1053. Who is Preston John? All right, come on, let's go.
History, fiction, or science describes how the contemporary
Flamenco.
chronological scale was created and by whom, with the culprits named as the 16th to 17th century clergy. The well-known model of history has enjoyed the relentless attention of prominent critics ever since its creation, including respected people like Sir Isaac Newton and Jean Herdouin, the court librarian of Louis XIV, the Sun King of France.
A classical age that never was. Their so-called Roman age, classical age, whatever they want to call it, all of it hijacked from real events that they hid from you. Let's go.
Roman and Egyptian chronology take a good beating. Poggio Bracciolini and Petrarch take the blame for creating the beautiful legend of a mythical classical age that never was. The biblical events are brought a lot closer to us both historically and geographically.
Biblical events are brought a lot closer to us both historically and geographically. Aren't they coming closer to home geographically? Aren't they coming closer to home historically? Timelines are shrinking. Everything happened very recent. Your invasion just happened in a real way.
The biblical Jerusalem is actually the medieval city of Constantinople.
What? Look, you look it up, you surf the wave, you get the drop. But this cat just said that the biblical Jerusalem is actually the medieval city of Constantinople, which is Khazaria, which is Mazaka, which is Mosak, which is Moshe. Bang. I think we gotta hear that.
The Old Testament swap.
One again.
The biblical Jerusalem is actually the medieval city of Constantinople.
Wow.
The New and the Old Testaments swap their positions in chronological order and are shown to refer to medieval events.
So they swap positions with the medieval history, so-called, and the so-called biblical Jerusalem. And they're saying that the medieval history happened first, and you got back in the timelines that your legitimate history, your legitimate modern history happened after the 900s. These people pushed your books back. They pushed you back so that they can appear to have a foundation that has always existed, a foundation that can't be rocked, a foundation that is secure. Psychology 101.
Using astronomy and statistics to back his theories, Fomenko delivers an abundant astronomical proof showing that the identified dates of ancient eclipses are blatantly untrue. Fomenko explains the confusion between the Antiquity and the Middle Ages and how the division between the two is merely imaginary.
Imaginary illusions.
The book contains in-depth descriptions of the research methods used as well as the most meticulous rendition of the global chronological map with its numerous errors and glitches explained in a very level-headed manner. One doesn't have to be a mathematician to comprehend Fomenko's presentation. History, fiction, or science transforms history from fiction into a rocket science. It is a must-read for everyone who is entirely indifferent to human history and possibly also for those who are.
This book will change your entire perception of history forever. What if ancient Rome, Greece, and Egypt were invented during the Renaissance? What if the Old Testament was a rendition of events in the Middle Ages? What if Jesus Christ was born in 1053 and crucified in 1086 AD? Sounds unbelievable? Not after you've read History, Fiction or Science by Anatoly Fomenko, the leading mathematician of our time.
All right. Told y'all it was cheesy. Didn't I tell y'all it was cheesy? But I just want to get these questions. I want to get these questions going. So you read, look, this Jesus Christ thing, this thing. What is going on with your timeline? So let's get to the real deal. Love to Vatahun. Y'all go check it out. Some great drop here. History, fiction, or science. All right, so let's get into the methodology. That's what they was breaking down. We got some of this before, but this plays enormously when we talk about King David and the other names that has been hidden, the dynasties that have been duplicated and pushed back. Let's get a piece. Let's go.
Dynasty.
And this is Fomenko. This is Anatoly Fomenko, this Russian chronographer. You research his research, and you dig on that. We'll just bring you to the water. He says, we have found pairs of dynasties which are now considered to be totally different, ruling in different countries in different times, right? So you say the Mongols, Jerusalem, the Maya, all these different dynasties which are now considered to be totally different, not just a little different, totally different. The Picts and the Scottish tribes and the clan Ross, totally different, ruling in different countries, right? At different times, right? Let's go. Fomenko, Anatoly.
Которые сегодня считаются абсолютно различными, которые правили в разных странах, в разные эпохи. Ну, скажем, одна династия правила.
Right, for example, a dynasty of rule in ancient Rome and the other in medieval Europe. So you have the name Rome, you have the medieval Europe, the Byzantine. And I'm going to read this for the folks that's at work or working out. Yeah, I'm looking out for y'all, man. I love y'all, man. Let's go.
В античном Риме, вторая в Европе средневековой. Но тем не менее, наш метод неожиданно.
Nevertheless, our method unexpectedly showed that the graphs of these dynasties are strikingly similar, so close that we can automatically associate a pair of dynasties as the same. Fomenko
показал, что графики правлений этих династий поразительно похожи, близки в той же мере, как заведомо зависимые пары династий. Такие пары мы назвали дубликатами, фантомами. Их, казалось, довольно много. несколько десятков.
Вот так этот метод показал, что...
That's because this method shows that some of the ruling dynasties were simply copied in history, duplicated, man, only on paper, man. How could this happen? How could these ruling dynasties be copied in history? Why would these medieval people do that? Because they took you away and they're replacing you with them. But it ain't really them. It's a duplicate of you. Stretching your history, stretching these timelines, introducing something new.
Некоторые правящие династии были просто размножены в истории. Размножены исключительно на бумаге. Как такое могло случиться? Скорее всего, по двум причинам.
Likely for two reasons. First, the error could be random due to weak development of linguistics at that time, or...
Во-первых, ошибки могли произойти по недомыслию из-за слабого развития науки того времени. Например, старинные документы описывали...
For example, two ancient documents described the same dynasties, but interpreters of text misinterpreted them as talking about different dynasties. So there's two ancient dynasties or documents describing the same dynasty, but the interpreters of the text may have misinterpreted them, or this shit could be on purpose. Let's go.
Одну и ту же династию, а толкователи этих текстов решили, что речь идет о совершенно разных правителях. Поэтому они дали им...
Therefore, they gave them new names and moved them on paper not only to other places, but also to other times.
Новые имена и перенесли их не только в другие страны, но и в другие эпохи. Во-вторых, и это является основной причиной, такие...
Secondly, and this is the main reason for such quote-unquote mistakes, is intentionally they did this to you on purpose, so-called Negro. For some powerful forces of the Middle Ages, who was that? Declaring a renaissance on your ass. It must have been important to rewrite history for the sake of hiding something, man.
Ошибки возникли преднамеренно. Некоторым могущественным силам Средневековья было важно переписать историю, скрыв в ней нечто очень важное для своих потомков и других народов. Об этом мы подробно поговорим.
We will talk about this in detail in the following film. All right, let's go. Let's talk about the order of these historical texts in time. Time and space, time and space. Saturn.
Обнаруженные дубликаты династий правителей наводят на...
Detection of duplicate dynasties lead us to new thinking. Perhaps not all historical events are set out in the chronological order in which they actually happen. Perhaps there's some bullshit happening with this chronological orders, man.
На новые размышления. Вероятно, не все дошедшие до нас летописи излагают события именно в том хронологическом порядке, в котором они произошли на самом деле. Летописец, описывая события...
A chronicler in describing events is sure to mention the kings and important people of his era. It is natural to tell of what interests him most, or what he is, paid, what his interests are. If his interests are hiding you, then it is natural to tell of what interests him most. A chronicler. These are the people you're relying on for his story. And you are fools.
Обязательно упоминает царей и значительных людей своей эпохи. Именно их характеры и поступки интересуют его больше всего. Летописцу очень важно, чтобы ничего не перепуталось, а для этого он старается максимально точно описать своих героев.
And again, man, listen, man, for a chronicler, it is very important that nothing is confused, and so he tries to accurately describe his characters, giving everyone a separate name. This is why you are fools, because you've been fooled. Only a fool is fooled forever. When you cease to be fooled forever, you cease to be a fool.
Каждый человек отдельное имя. Вот эти имена исторических персонажей.
These names of historical characters is the best guide in the analysis of text. All right, let's go.
Личный дневник человека может много рассказать о своем хозяине. Вот, например,
Now check it. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I want to get to some of this meat. Let's go.
Где-то нарушена. Как выясняется, она требует полного внимательного пересмотра.
Now, since these examples we have shown clearly demonstrate how mixed up mankind's history is. The chronology of this story, his story, is not just broken in a few places, but requires a complete and thorough review. Who is willing to thoroughly review chronology? How can we see all the contradictions of the standard version of history? Perhaps we should make a map of all the traditional chronicles.
Все противоречия общепринятой исторической версии. Может быть, надо составить глобальную хронологическую карту всей традиционной истории. На первый взгляд кажется, что это невозможно.
At first glance, it seems impossible, but nevertheless, the task was doable.
Но тем не менее,
and this is what Flamenco did, man. He put this map together of chronology. He used astrology, put it all together, made a global, what they call global chronological map.
Анатолий Тимофеевич Фоменко.
Anatoly Flamenco. All right, man, you know I'm crazy. Decided to find out how the world really looks as a story. To this end, he achieved a tremendous feat. Man, I'm going to go up a little bit. Let's get to it.
Указаны именно те даты, на которых настаивали основатели традиционной исторической версии Скаллигер и Питагорус. Сначала карта была...
Here's the goods, all right. First, maps were drawn on graph paper. You want to know the methodology? You want to know the methodology? All right. First, maps were drawn on graph paper. Then the scanned images were transferred to a special material.
Отображена на миллиметровой
What's the
бумаге.
methodology?
Потом ее отсканировали и перенесли изображение на специальный материал. Этот уникальный документ...
This unique method affects its size. The length of the map is 19 meters, and it was the first to graphically depict the history that is taught in schools and universities. So they spread out all your history that you've been taught. And what happened?
Своими размерами. Длина карты составляет 19 метров. Так впервые было создано графическое изображение истории,
Look at this, man. Is this play?
в школах и университетах.
На этих картах были распределены.
This map contained tens of thousands of names, several thousand dates, information about a disturbance, the main books of the origin sources, original sources.
Тысяч имен, много тысяч дат, информация о смутах, о главных книгах, о первоисточниках, о летописях.
The chronicles of their dating, the author's chronicle, the author, occurrences in astronomy, and so on.
Об их датировках, об авторах летописей, о хронистах, об астрономах и тому подобное. Потом, к этому материалу были...
Then this material was evaluated using the techniques developed by me and my colleagues. We're checking the methods. You know what I'm saying? We want to see what's going on so y'all can repeat this and do observable and repeatable science. Be scientific about this shit.
Разработанные мною и моими коллегами методики, о которых я говорил вкратце. И я отметил на этой карте дубликаты, то есть те эпохи, которые оказывались...
And I noted on this map where there were duplicates, that is, periods that were shown to be similar by these methods. So based on the astrology, based on the calculations, whatever they're putting together with this, they are realizing similarities or duplicates, what they're about to call phantoms in history.
Методикам близкими, похожими, зависимыми.
Как это было сделано?
How was this done? Anatoly Flamenco divided the history of the world at certain points. Then every era's detail was displayed on the time axis.
Анатолий Фоменко разделил всю мировую историю на эпохи. Затем каждую эпоху подробно отобразил на оси времени. События, которые происходили одновременно в разных государствах,
Periods which had similarities were moved to be simultaneous on the time scale. All right, hold up. Get our battery ready for the dismount. We are good, we are good, we are good. And let go.
Выражались друг над другом. Чтобы показать, сколько в традиционной истории существует повторов исторических событий.
All right, to show how much overlap there is in the traditional chronology of historical events, Flamenco assigned each time interval a letter.
разным временным интервалам Фоменко присвоил разные буквы. Например, эпоха
For
Второй...
example, the era of the Second Roman Empire was marked by the letter K. The same letter was used to mark its duplicates Fomenko had discovered.
Римской империи была обозначена буквой К. Этой же буквой были отмечены все ее дубликаты, которые Фоменко обнаружил с помощью своих методов. Другие исторические эпохи...
Other historical periods, as well as their duplicates, were identified by other letters. For example, C and P were also marked on the map.
А также их дубликаты были обозначены другими буквами, например, S и P, и также были отмечены на карте. Так возникла структура.
So a structure emerges that shows both the time axis and repetitions of historical events. This map was named Global Chronological. Shit. Global Chronological Map. Let's go.
Которая показывала, как на оси
Let
времени
go.
расположены повторы исторических событий. Эта карта получила название глобальной хронологической карты. Именно она показывает,
That is, it shows what should be the true chronology of historical events.
какой должна быть
True
истинная хронология
chronology.
исторических событий.
True
Стало очевидно,
chronology.
что в традиционном
It became apparent that in the traditional chronology there are three major time shifts. People, my people, pay attention and go further with this, all right? There are three major time shifts by approximately 300, 1,000, and 1,800 years. This is how they shifted time. This is, according to Flamenco, how they shifted these histories on top of each other. So if we go 300 years, 1,000, 1,800, you should start seeing the overlaps, the different names, the different places. Let's go.
В истории существует три основных временных сдвига. Примерно на 300, 1000 и 1800 лет. И многие реальные исторические события...
And lots of real historical events of the Middle Ages were copied on paper by medieval chroniclers, man, and sent into the past. I hate the chronology word, all right, but chroniclers, you know what I'm saying? Shit. So these motherfuckers sent this shit into the past. Dig on it. Because it makes you go crazy when you really put this together. You get into a, you know what I'm saying? You start going to Staticville right quick. You got to make a left turn into Staticville. And you have to find your way out of Staticville just to come back into reality. And say, what did these chroniclers do? I mean, honestly, what was their point in reestablishing history? To truly paint a world for themselves, an illusion for themselves? And if you are not your own chronicler, then you might not have your own interest at hand. So everything you're being taught is by someone who hates your ass, who wants death on your ass, who's calling you black.
Средневековья были на бумаге размножены средневековыми хронистами и отправлены в прошлое. Как это могло произойти,
How could this happen if the chroniclers of the Middle Ages made unintentional mistakes?
если хронисты средних веков допустили ошибку непреднамеренно?
Unintentional mistakes?
Возьмем 4 старинные лета.
Alright, so take the 4 ancient chronicles. They all describe the same events that occurred, for example, in Europe in the 1400s. All describe the same events from the 1400s. Man.
Все они описывают одни и те же события, которые происходили, например, в Европе в 15 веке.
They
Но
lied
дело
to
в том,
us
что
all, people.
авторы этих лет
But the authors of these chronicles were living not only in different countries, but even at different times. They spoke and wrote in different languages and used a different calendar. But it's all connected to these 1400s. What's so special about the 1400s, so-called Negro? You were invaded.
жили не только в разных странах, но даже в разное время. Они говорили и писали на разных языках, использовали разные летоисчисления.
Not surprisingly, in telling of the same king, city, or battle, they gave them totally different names. Kings, cities, and wars and battles, they gave them totally different names. And spread them around and put them in time shifts. 300, 1,000, 1,800 years. Split them apart. Put them in different names, different kings, different cities, different battles, totally different names, people.
Удивительно, что рассказывая об одном и том же короле, городе или
Eggs and turkey
сражении, они
bacon.
давали им совершенно разные названия. Поэтому, когда хронисты 16-17
Alright, so therefore, when chroniclers in the 1500s and 1600s read these records, they decided that they were talking about 4 different eras completely. And you read these books, putting Prester John all over the place, putting these people all over the place, different eras, different times, different kings, different names, different battles, different history.
читали эти летописи, они решили, что речь идет о 4 совершенно разных эпохах. И вместо того, чтобы поместить эти летописи...
And instead of putting these accounts simultaneously on the same time axis, time, space, time, Saturn, their god, dog, axis, they arranged them in sequence, that is, one after another. Just like the Egyptian chronology, where they got all these different Nasuts reigning one after the other, when you know that in these 42 different nomes, that in these different provinces, these Nasuts were reigning at the same time, some of them. So you got the chronology all jammed up from that, and many more and many more.
На оси времени одну над другой, они расположили их последовательно, то есть друг за другом.
Look,
Одну летопись.
so they left one chronicle in the 1400s, a second they pushed back 300 years, a third they pushed back 1,000 years, and a fourth they pushed back 1,800 years. One they left in the 1400s, so we're reading about Prester John here. One they pushed back 300 years, we're reading about Prester John in the 1100s. So you're reading about more like a 1500s Prester John. Then you're reading about like a 1200s Prester John. Then a third they pushed back 1,000 years. So then you're reading about, you know what I'm saying, some distant king back then. What, King David? 1,800 years, you're getting into what, the BCs? Come on, man. It's the same king. We're just talking you. But a lot of it, what they recently took down in the 1400s, they started putting it back 300 years, back 1,000 years, back 1,800 years, so that you lose your connection to it. So you think they ruled on you forever, so that you think that freedom is such a far-fetched thing. You've been a slave forever. Why fight now?
Они оставили в 15 веке, вторую отодвинули назад на 300 лет, третью назад на 1000 лет, а четвертую на 1800 лет. Соединили.
Now all those books were the same book with the same king in the same place, but they dropped them in different places. And this is your discrepancy today.
И получилась очень длинная хронология.
This is the hijack today, time and space.
Только с помощью метода статистической математики
Only with the help of mathematical statistics can we have a truly objective analysis of old texts. Without them, unfortunately, it is impossible to construct a chronology.
по-настоящему объективно
Impossible
анализировать старый текст.
without
Без них, к сожалению,
mathematical
построить
statistics.
хронологию невозможно. Поэтому до нас подлинная хронология.
Therefore, to us, the current chronology was never truly established. It was never established. Anybody joking about chronology? Chronology was never established, especially if you're just looking into the medieval chroniclers. It was based on very subjective methods. Subjective to who? Subjective to what?
Создана не была. Она опиралась на очень субъективно трактуемые методы. До тех пор, пока в историю не войдут по-настоящему методы.
As long as chronology did not use the methods of mathematics, statistics, and astronomy, the field of history will be very subjective. So if they didn't add in, okay, well, this happened here, and based on astronomy at this time, this makes sense because this particular prophet was talking about this particular star system, and he must have been around here, and yada, yada, yada. And with the, you know what I'm saying, math, numbers don't lie, they say, right? So the field of history, unless they're in control of the numbers, they lie. But the field of history will be very subjective and have a very shaky foundation. You went to public school and got a shaky foundation. You went to private school and got a shaky foundation. Let's go.
Математика, статистика, астрономия до тех пор история будет остаться наукой чисто субъективной и на очень зыбком фундаменте.
Можно сказать, что сегодня проект...
So we can say that today the project, the new chronology by Fomenko Nosavsky, consists of two parts.
Новая хронология Фоменко-Носовского состоит из двух частей. Первая часть – это новый...
The first part is the new mathematical methods for the study of old texts and maps, as well as the first made, the new chronological map.
Математические методы исследования старых текстов и карт, а также впервые составленная хронологическая карта, новая хронологическая карта. Эту карту удалось создать на основании перекрестных...
This map exists on the basis of evaluating ancient historical texts and maps using all the aforementioned methods.
Проверки древних исторических текстов и карт всеми разработанными методами. Вторая часть...
Alright, in the second part, this is a tentative reconstruction of history based on the new chronological scale. Alright, so I'm going to leave this link. Y'all get to it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make our dismount. We're going to go right back in here in the drop zone. And, yeah, man, let's go right about here, man. Let's jump right into it. And, you know what I'm saying? We've heard this particular researcher speak about the worlds beyond the poles before. So, you know, she pretty much kicks it right down the gut. I mean, for the most part, you know, but you still got to dodge the hijack. But let's make our dismount here, man. Let's do a belly flop and see what she's talking about. Sorry for the hijack images, man, but just listen up.
Of various secret societies. The rest of the population of the earth has been rendered so senseless and so unaware of its real nature and history as a result of the fraudulent propaganda of the parasites, which has been reshaping our views for many centuries.
Parasites.
That most of us have become not people but sheeple, blindly following our so-called elected leaders. Although social surveys from all over the world all point to the fact that most of the people on this planet consider their government leaders to be total scam and fraud and criminals, still those very same people watch TV every day, TV which is censored by that same honest government. And these very same people believe the school books, although these school books have been instituted as true by that same government. The social institution of a country or a state developed at this point of time when the parasites manage to convince certain group of people to go against their own brothers. Then the need appeared for...
The parasite convinced a certain group of people to go against their own brothers? Ain't that what they did when they came here and they got certain people signing treaties to go against their own brothers? Man, I'm going to do a belly flop. I'm going to go right in. Let's go right in to this Zeus. Let's go. No hijacks allowed.
In the Middle Ages, people used to write ears in a different way, not the way we...
Zeus. Now she's going to call him our Savior Jesus. So all these people worship Zeus, man. But you still got to get the babies out because they're trying to drop something outside of this illusion. But they still worship S-U-S, Zeus. And remember in Greek, S-U-S or S-O-O-S is just swine, pig, wild boar. They tore down your temples and sacrificed boar, pig. They worship the pig. That's their god. That's their Saturn. Let's go.
Write them now. There were two ways in the Middle Ages to write the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. one was Jesus and the other one was Christos. And when people meant that a certain event happened 300 years after Jesus Christ, they placed an I in front of the number of the year. An alternative version was to place the letter X, and that originated from the name Christos, because that is how, till nowadays, the Slavic people call our Savior Jesus Christ. For example, Ludovici Elsevier is considered by the mainstream historians to be a Renaissance publisher. However, as we can see on their own emblem, the year is 595. Before this year, we see the letter I and a dot after it. This is obviously not the number 1. Another example, according to the mainstream history, this is 1521. However, if you pay attention, this is clearly the letter I. This is not the number 1. And
now, if we add the flamenco drop that we're getting though, where they said, was this Christ born in 1000 AD instead of 0 AD? All right, then you're adding that 1,000 back anyway, and you're getting back to 1527 in terms of that. But in terms of how they're, talking about these particular historical documents, who knows? Maybe they're still talking 1527. Maybe they're talking 527. What's the purpose? What's the, because they're switching things back and forth. Some stuff they're switching back. Other things they're adding 1,000 years. So let's pay attention to how they add 1,000 years.
separated with dots. Another example. This is interpreted nowadays as year 1656. However, we can see that it actually has the letter I instead of 1, and the year written is 656.
There were different handwriting styles for writing the letter I. Here's another one from Germany. This is year 658. However, nowadays it is interpreted as 1658.
This is from Nuremberg, Germany, and
Alright, belly flop.
a law that told people that actually something else happened, and if you talk about what you saw, then, of course, the heaviest punishment. At this point, you probably wonder, but how did it work in reality? How did the common people, for example, in year 600 after Christ, all of a sudden start thinking that it is now 1600 after Christ? Actually, the common people didn't even understand what happened because, conveniently, exactly at that time, the calendar was changed. The new Gregorian calendar was introduced, and everything was set to the so-called correct dates, and because it was all done centrally on paper, the common people on the street did not understand what's going on at all. In this way, the history, the way you know it, appeared. It was not created by historians, but by illusionists, trickster, circus-style magicians. However, there were educated people as well, and they figured out the scam. One of them is the famous physicist Isaac Newton. Somehow they conveniently miss to tell us that he was a chronologist as well. He was persistently arguing that the history of the kingdoms of Egypt has been artificially sent to pass with 1,800 years. The history of ancient ancient Greece sent artificially back to the past with 534 years, and the history of the Roman culture sent back in time artificially with about 1,000 years.
Wow.
Those who are further interested can find more detail in his book, Chronology of Ancient Kingdoms Amended.
Stay up, suit up, choose up, and know that your time is coming, but you are not subject to their father time. You are not subject to time and space. It's time to get off the clock, and like that, we rock. Love to drive the nation. Let go.